Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Hard Count podcast. And today, we're going to be going over Week 3 Stardom, Sit-em. If you got these guys on your roster, you should either start them in your lineup or sit them maybe. Let's get into them. I've got 6 Stardoms for you guys today, 4 Sit-ems. Let's get right into them. My first guy, it's a quarterback, Cam Newton, quarterback 3 through 2 weeks of the season. Trailing only Russell Wilson and Josh Allen thus far. He's played spectacularly. He's looking like Superman. He's looking like Carolina Cam Newton. Right now, he's tied with Ezekiel Elliott for the league lead in carries inside the 10-yard line. He's got 4 rushing scores. He's got 1 through the air, averaging 276 passing yards, 13 rush attempts per game. The Patriots are really getting everything they can out of Cam Newton, not worried about his injuries whatsoever. They're rushing him 13 times a game. And guess what? That's great for fantasy. We love to see as much rushing as we can from quarterbacks because that's worth way more than passing the ball. Last year, 7 of the top 10 fantasy quarterbacks were mobile, dual-threat quarterbacks, and Cam Newton fits that mold perfectly. He's a great rusher. And yes, the Raiders matchup is not great. They did hold Bridgewater and Breeze to not the best weeks in terms of fantasy, but we look at Newton, he's completely different than Breeze and Bridgewater. He's going to get the carries inside the 5-yard line, 10-yard line. He's going to get those rushing touchdowns, those rushing yards. He provides a nice floor for you. He's playing at an MVP level right now. I don't know why you wouldn't be starting him, but if you got that decision to make, I know of in a couple leagues I've seen guys that have a decision to make between Cam and some other guys. But Cam right now, there's not many guys that start above him. He's shown throughout his career he plays very well when he has a lead. The Patriots are 5.5-point favorites in this one. He's going to have a lead. Confidently start Cam Newton as quarterback 1, elite quarterback 1 this week. So next, we've got a running back, Joshua Kelley of the Los Angeles Chargers. I told you guys to pick up Joshua Kelley before week 1. I told you to pick him up before week 2. I told you to pick him up before week 3. He's been on my waiver wire targets 3 weeks in a row. If you listen to me, he should be on your roster by now, and he should be this week in your starting lineup if you have space for him. Kelley, he's out-carried Austin Eckler 6-1 inside the 10-yard line. He is their go-to guy when they get down close to the red zone. And last week, very promising. We saw his snap rate climb from 27% in week 1 to 52% last week against the Chiefs, which was very, very exciting and promising. Kelley, he had 23 carries against Kansas City, caught 2 of 3 targets. I think we are going to see that elite production really carry over through the rest of the season for LA. Maybe not 23 carries, but I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, LA is favored by 6.5 over Carolina. And I think part of the reason that Kelley was getting so many carries is because for a lot of that game, the Chargers were beating the Chiefs and they wanted to keep the lead. So in these games where they're going to be winning, Kelley is going to be the lead back. They're going to be winning against Carolina as their 6.5-point favorites. Kelley should be the lead back. And, not to mention, the Panthers are dead last in fantasy points allowed to running backs, 29th in run defense DVOA. They gave up 139 yards, 3 touchdowns to Josh Jacobs in week 1. Last week, they gave up 19 carries, 126 yards, 3 touchdowns to Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette combined. They kind of split carries, but, Kelley's usage right now against the Panthers, I think makes him a viable RB2, top 12 running back, I think is well in his range. I definitely would start Joshua Kelley if you can, if he's on your bench, if you listen to me. I like Joshua Kelley a lot this week. Next, we've got a wide receiver for the Dallas Cowboys. Start Ceedee Lamb. He's taken over that wide receiver 2 role in the Dallas Cowboys offense. I didn't think it happened this quickly. We rarely see rookie receivers play this well and are involved in the offense this early, but Ceedee Lamb, look at him. He's playing like an absolute phenom. He's looked very, very good. He's the Cowboys slot man, and Lamb has played on 83% of the offensive snaps, drawn 15 targets. He put up six receptions for 106 yards against the Falcons last week, which was very good to see. We saw a very good matchup with the Seahawks defense. We have a very good matchup with the Seahawks defense. Dead last in fantasy points allowed to receivers, 29th in pass defense DVOA. We've seen shootouts in every game they play, and I think this is a perfect shootout game. We got Dallas, Seattle, 2 very high-powered offenses, 2 teams with bad secondaries. And as I said, he is their slot guy. Slot wideouts have crushed the Seahawks. They've just torn apart the Seahawks secondary. Julian Edelman last week, 8 receptions for 179 yards. That's a career high, and this dude has been playing forever. Russell Gage, 9 receptions for 114 yards. And so I think Ceedee Lamb is in for a huge week. He's looked great through 2 weeks. This game's point total, 55.5, which is huge. There's going to be a lot of points put up on the board, a lot of yards to go around. Seattle and Dallas, it's going to be a shootout. Ceedee Lamb is going to be a benefactor of that shootout. Should be a very fun game to watch. And next, we've got Kareem Hunt of the Cleveland Browns. And the Browns offense right now, it's running through the backs. Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, it's not even close. They're getting so many touches. The Browns have been running the ball more often than they have been passing the ball, and that's not a very frequent thing in the NFL. Washington also has a much, much better pass defense, one of the best pass defenses in the NFL right now, versus run defense. So I think that the Browns are going to come out running the ball a little bit more. They're not nearly as good of a run defense. They're bottom 10, and Kareem Hunt been very, very efficient, 8.9 yards per carry last week. And I think we can count on a good week for Hunt. He's a guy to play as an RB2, a flex option for the rest of the year. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, we weren't sure if they could coexist together. Last week showed me that they probably can. So I like Kareem Hunt a lot this week. Start him if you can. Next, we've got another running back, Devin Singletary. And we got news earlier today. Zach Moss is out. Singletary could get 20 touches, 70 plus. He could be on the field for 70% plus of the snaps. And I think, Moss, we usually see him get all the touches inside the 5 and 10 yard line. And that's why Singletary was on my do not draft list. But a lot of those are going to go to Devin Singletary. A lot of those carries that he was getting, that's a lot more touchdown opportunity for Devin Singletary that wasn't there for him before. And yes, Josh Allen is going to be that goal line runner. But I think it opens a lot more up for Devin Singletary. If you were really concerned about him, Zach Moss is out. This is the time to play him. The Rams 25th in points allowed to running backs, 27th in run defense DVOA. Singletary is going to have a day, I think. And, I think now that with Zach Moss out, it's pretty obvious to start Devin Singletary. His stock goes way up. But yeah. Next, we've got DK Metcalf of the Seattle Seahawks. We talked about this game earlier. It's going to be a shootout, and I was wrong about DK Metcalf. I was wrong. I told you guys, do not draft him, but he's been spectacular, and my concern for Metcalf was that he wasn't going to be getting enough targets, and that has not been too invalid so far, but he's been so efficient on those targets. It is absurd. Tied for 26th among all wideouts with just 14 targets. But in those 14 targets, he's put up 92 yards, a touchdown in the first game, and 95 and 1 in the second game. Falcons and Patriots in back-to-back weeks. And we're playing a Cowboys secondary that is just not good. Chidobe Awuzie missed practice Wednesday and Thursday. We don't know if he's going to be healthy for Sunday's game. If he is, I still am not too concerned. He was a beast against Stephon Gilmore last week. He broke off a long touchdown last Sunday night. And I think we're seeing Metcalf really breaking out this year. Wilson's looking absolutely amazing. This Seattle offense is looking unstoppable right now. And Dallas has been picked apart by Robert Woods, Calvin Ridley, back-to-back weeks, giving about up 100 yards to both. 2 scores for Ridley. And they have allowed the 6th most fantasy points to wide receivers right now. It's good. Again, the highest total of the week, 55.5. I like DK Metcalf a lot. I think he's going to break a big play at least once in this game. He's going to get a touchdown. So start DK Metcalf if you were even considering not, which I don't know why you wouldn't be. He is looking great this year. Next, we've got our sit-ems. And I've got 4 of these guys for you. We got David Johnson of the Houston Texans. And I just sit him if you have him, if you have the option to. Terrible, terrible matchup against the Steelers. Best run defense in the NFL right now. And Duke Johnson will be back. I don't think it's going to affect David Johnson too much. He seems to have a pretty strong hold on his position right now. He's played pretty well, but Steelers is just such a tough matchup. They absolutely shut down Saquon Barkley. And part of that was because the offensive line was bad, but the Texans' offensive line is very bad as well. So, and last week he had 95% snap share and against Baltimore, and that only translated to 15 touches because they were trailing the whole time. They're going to be trailing against the Steelers. I think the Steelers are a much better team than the Texans. So David Johnson is the guy I'm staying far away from this week. You should as well. And yeah, next we've got Ronald Jones of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And Jones scored a touchdown last week against the Panthers, lost a fumble later in the game, and that may have been it for his job. Leonard Fournette came in. He beasted it. His snap rate jumped from 13% in week 1 all the way up to 43% in week 2. And he was the guy that we saw a lot more at the end of the game. And I can expect that rate to go up even more this week, meaning that Ronald Jones naturally is going to drop. Fournette he's going to be leading this backfield going forward. Last week on Carolina, he ran the ball 12 times, 103 yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground with 4 catches on 5 targets. Broncos matchup is not bad. I'm just mostly concerned about Fournette in that backfield and him taking it over. I think Ronald Jones is just way too risky. He looked promising to start the season, but sooner rather than later, Fournette is taking over that backfield after torching the Panthers. And I just don't see enough room there for Ronald Jones to really do much in fantasy. So next, we've got Emmanuel Sanders. We thought this would be a great start as wide receiver 1 for the Saints last week after Thomas went down. We were absolutely dead wrong. He was just bad. Too risky of a play for me this week. Kamara, he was that clear number 1 guy in the offense, not even close. Great for Kamara owners, not so great for Emmanuel Sanders owners. Traquan Smith, Ty Montgomery, Jared Cook, Latavius Murray, and Deontay Harris. What do all those guys have in common other than the fact that they're all in the Saints? They all finished with more receptions than Emmanuel Sanders last week. Brees has looked bad, and they're just going to keep dinking and dunking it down. And Kamara is going to continue to be far away the number 1 guy until Thomas comes back. Packers, not a great matchup either. We could be seeing Sanders match up with Jair Alexander, who is a fantastic young corner. It's just way too risky for me. It's a scary, scary start if you're starting Emmanuel Sanders if you have to. Could Sanders have a bounce back week? Absolutely, he could. Will he? I would not bet on it. I'm sitting Emmanuel Sanders this week. Next, we've got Nyheim Hines. Last week, he was a waiver wire pickup after Marlon Mack went down. If you got him and played him, he really, really let you down. And in the Colts' first game after Marlon Mack's season-ending Achilles tear, Jonathan Taylor played on 60% of the snaps. He was handed 28 carries. Indy easily beat the Vikings. And yes, the game script did favor Jonathan Taylor, but it was still very, very concerning for Nyheim Hines owners. He was given 15 touches week 1, 2 touchdowns. We were like, wow. And he was playing on 53% of the snaps, but last week we saw his snap rate go all the way down to 12%, recorded 1 target, no rushing attempts. That week 1 proved to be very fluky, which stinks for fantasy owners. But, the Colts are saying that Hines' role will be different each week based on the opponent. He's a highly, highly scary play as an RB3, but right now against the Jets, the script is going to favor Jonathan Taylor big because the Jets are the worst team in football. Colts aren't going to need to throw the ball. It's going to be similar to the Vikings game. They're going to be up the whole time. Taylor's going to get the load of the carries. Hines, not so much. But yeah, do not start Nyheim Hines. So yeah, those were my stardom, sit-em for week 3 of the NFL season. Hope you enjoyed. Like, subscribe, comment your thoughts. If you got any questions about fantasy you want me to answer in the comments, definitely leave them down in the comments. Yeah, thanks so much for listening. Until next time, peace.